Chen from the Hydra Network, and today I'm going to talk about our new result. It's about proving full node ZK. And Hydra Network is an interoperability solution based on blockchains. And at the core, we are building our own zero-knowledge proof technology to enable this new interoperability solution. And yeah, this is our overall structure of our solution. So in the middle is our proof system, and the task of this proof system is proving the consensus of the sender. And for example, if you look at Ethereum as a sender, then this whole proof system will be proving like 32,000 signatures in the Ethereum block. And after we found the supermajority of the validator signed the block, then the proof will be successfully generated and it will later sent to the receiver side for later verification. This proof can be generated within several seconds, and the verification is done within like 200K gas. And for the user to send the message from sender to the receiver, the first wait for initiate their message into then store it to the sender chain, and the block will be relayed to the receiver side. The block will be relayed to the receiver side, and if the user notices the block has been successfully relayed, then he can extract this transaction from the block. So we are talking about the Ethereum. Several months ago, we were using a solution called Sync Committee. It's a Ethereum client spec. So in the Sync Committee, they got 512 validators inside the Sync Committee. And these guys will verify the block, verify the Ethereum block, and it will put signatures if they successfully verify the Ethereum block. The problem for this Sync Committee is they simply don't have enough stake. Total amount of stake is about 60,000 Ethereum, and this is like 1/20th amount of the total bridge volume per day. And this Sync Committee will be in charge for 1 day for each rotation. So they will only rotate 1 day, and the daily volume exceed this amount of stakes. It can easily exceed this amount of stake. So they will have an incentive to attack us. And if we grow like 10 times, they will immediately attack us, and we cannot guarantee any security. So we've switched our solution from the Sync Committee to full node, where a full node will actually have more than 20,000 validators per block, and they will rotate every block inside the apple. So in total, there will be like around 600,000 validators or 1 million validators in the Ethereum network to secure our proof. This is way larger than Sync Committee, and this is way secure, way more secure. However, there's a challenge for us. We need to generate ZK proof for a lot more validators, and we need to prove that every single signature of them signed by them is correct. And we tackle this problem by using our own proof system. So we don't use Halo2, we don't use Monkey, we use our own stuff. And in our own proof system, we generate proof very fast. And if you look at growth system, this is our old system. They will use like half an hour to generate the proof. And if you look at our system, we actually benchmarked our system on 2 different settings. One is on a Jamf server with with two state-of-the-art AMD CPUs. The other one is on 64 small device. So we benchmark on a giant server. We benchmark it. We can generate proof about 7 seconds. On 64 small devices, it's even more faster. It takes like 5 seconds to generate a proof for the whole community. And if you look at other specs, the time is 5 to 7 seconds, and the energy is actually only takes like 4 times 10 to the negative 4 US dollar to generate one. So this is much cheaper than any other processors, and you can, as you can imagine, this is way cheaper. So people will not complain about the proof of work solution. Well, this will not have any negative impact on the environment. So to achieve this, we are using our own proof system called Infracon, where, as I said, we use 64 smaller devices. This is the structure. In Infracon, these smaller devices will be a node in this proof system, and they combine their own computation power to generate a proof for a gigantic circuit. The circuit size is about several billion in terms of, and further we recursively verify our proof on chain. So people may complain about the decentralization, alright? Zero proof in this is a misconception of the zero proof. Is that you usually take a huge amount of computation power and a huge amount of memory. This is not true. In our solution, we use a very small device. It's actually right here in my hand. So we use this device to generate a proof. 64 of them, not one. Yeah. And later I will do a demo here. Then you using this device. I think my Zoom is not. The Zoom is not correct. Just one moment. If yeah, the Zoom quit. So I need to fix my network problem first. Just one moment. So, in the meantime, let me introduce some hardware requirement. It's not so high. If you look at this requirement, we only need you to have a very stable network connection. Usually, it's 1 gigabyte of one GPS and mobile CPU, as this device has, 60 gigabyte of memory. I'm getting my device into the network. Just one moment. Can I just directly plug in this? Yeah, it was very. Yeah. I'm sorry, my settings not so correct. So here is our device. See here. And first, let me show you the results. So let me explain this a little bit. So we are using all of the 8 cores as this slash N8, and here is on this single machine we are proving like 512 signatures, 8 cores on this machine. And now I'm going to run it. Starting proving it. This is debug information. And finish it. So it was 6 seconds on this machine. Yeah. So this machine can prove like 512 signatures on its own, and if you combine 64 of them, then you can basically prove like 30,000 signatures. Yeah. Let me switch back to the laptop. Thank you. So this is my device. Actually, in my hand. 60% prove that whole is simple. So there's another announcement from us. It's very exciting since we have shown that our proving technology is so advanced and they can be your signatures can be proved so fast. So now we are going to announce that we can improve the Ethereum consensus using our proving technology. And we are trying to prove all validators in one slot. So in current Ethereum, they only got 32,000 validators per slot, and they need to wait at least 20 slots for enough number of validators. And here we are going to change this state. And using our proof technology, we can basically invite all the validators into one slot, all 1 million of them into one slot. And you don't need to wait for 20 slots for a super majority of the votes. And here in one slot, you can get a super majority of votes. So this will definitely improve the Ethereum finality, and it will improve the finality from 20 slots to 1 slot. Okay, so So this is a brief timeline for our stuff. We have implemented a very efficient distributed tool, and in the future we are going to implement a efficient distributed commitment scheme and do some mid and large scale testing. Later on, we will, after all this testing, we are trying to integrate into the Ethereum blockchain. Thanks for your listening. Here's my talk. Here's concluding my talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So up next we have Wilson. He's the co-founder and CEO of CyberConnect, and he will be sharing with us his insights on building decentralized social protocol.
Hello everyone. I don't want to bore you too long, so I decided to make this like 15 minutes keynote speech or presentation as short as possible. And maybe I can take some questions from the crowd if you guys are still awake. Okay. By the way, any of you are technical here? No? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, say one. Okay, then we'll go with the very non-technical, easy and comprehensive style of teaching. So what is CyberConnect? In short, it's a Web3 social network. We were the first one to come up with the concept of decentralized social graph protocol. And after 2 years of, 2.5 years of development and evolving iterations, now we're presenting this like V3 of CyberConnect, which essentially it's very easy to understand. Just comparing it with login with Facebook or Google. So it's a whole Web3 holistic account system, which consists with two of the most important elements. The number one is cyber accounts. So cyber account is right now, I think, the largest account abstraction providers in so many chains, including like Base, Polygon, Linea, Ethereum Mainnet, and so on and so on. So far, we have I think a little bit more than 1 million accounts with 1.2 million plus gas credit within this within those account system. So with account abstraction, we're solving the problem with onboarding, including like abstracting all the complexity around making different transactions on multiple EVM compatible chains with different kind of native tokens that user will never understand. Like if you need to make a transaction on Polygon, you have to buy like something called Matic, right? And that's problematic. Yeah, so a single signature for multiple transactions. Gas fee allocation. We have this gas fee credit system. And enabling social locking, of course. So right now we are supporting two kinds of locking: EOE locking with existing MetaMask user or wallet users to directly connect and create a cyber account with those wallets. Another way is social locking. Just use your email or Web2 social accounts to come up with the cyber accounts and use that as a very easy locking in the future moving forward. There will be like session keys and a lot of the technical efforts to essentially solve the problem of user experience and make the whole onboarding experience so seamless. So that's like part one of it, the cyber account. And then the part two of like locking with CyberConnect, and it's the social graph part. So for the first time, we enable users to actually own their data fully on whatever chain they want. And that means when the next time you log into let's say a game or another social app, trying using your like, Facebook account, you don't have to ask the Facebook again, can I get my friends list? Can I get my content back? Can I get my monetization? Whatever, it's all yours with logging with CyberConnect. So that's the social graph part. So far, we have more than 1.2 million user profiles. In total, 60 million transactions. Most of them are somehow representing users' social graph, either like Google and Blue. or the credential that you earn, for example, the verifiable data that could be created on Link 3.2, like I'm the co-founder of CyberConnect or something. So with the cyber accounts powered by account abstraction tag plus the social graph, we're trying to make this account system the most, you know, moving forward, the most adopted login and account system for all Web3 use cases. Yeah, so that's one of the example of the how application could leverage CyberConnect. So Link3, it's our in-house built application along with 50 plus other applications. So Link3, it's really this verifiable network system. And so far we already have verified and onboarded more than 2,700 plus organizations within the space. So if you go to Twitter and see like the Twitter page of Animal Brands, Masari, DYDX, or many top projects, you can find their Link3 profile link there. Essentially, it's their Web3 native profile that's verified by CyberConnect. And moving forward, we're gonna expand more from the business side to the user side as well. So you can see it as like the future of something like LinkedIn, but not 100% similar. Yeah, it's gonna be a better one. Okay, I think that's it. Very short and concise. Hope you guys like it. Let me know if you have any questions. And we're gonna have a panel very soon. Right? Questions? If no, then just finish. All right, thank you. Thank you all.
Right, thank you so much. But if you are really shy right now and you have any other questions for Wilson later on, he'll just be hanging around. So see him, say hello, ask him.
For like 30 minutes.
In the next 30 minutes. Okay, so next up from panel, we'll be sharing on the topic of navigating user growth in Web3 and learnings from Web2. So we have Sasha, who is the founder of 3Coach, and he'll be moderating the session for us. And on our panel, we have Wilson, who's just spoken, he's the co-founder and CEO of CyberConnect. We have Prashant, who's the founder and CEO of Fan TV. We have Suji, who's the founder of Mars. We have Ravi Khan, who's the director of growth at Polygon, as well as Jess, who's the CMO of Hooked Protocol. So can I please welcome our panelists on stage, please?
Two.
Hello everyone. I hope all of you had lunch and enough coffee. And we'll try to keep it nice, small, and entertaining. And as you can see from the kind of discussion topic itself, this probably is the most pressing question on how do we get users to Web3. And there's no better place to look at Web2, I would say, playbooks, and the founders who are here or the panelists who are here are experienced in kind of leveraging that knowledge. So without further ado, it's kind of really great that we can have one round of introductions and then we can jump on to this session.
Hello again, I'm back. It's Wilson, the co-founder of CyberConnect, and you already know what we do. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, this is Prashant. I'm the CEO and founder of Fan TV. We are building a decentralized video streaming platform focused on India for now. Prior to this, I was the CEO of Ghana, India's largest music streaming app. And before that, I was the founder of Prop Tiger, which was a large real estate transaction marketplace in India.
Suji from our last name were we do decentralized since 2017. And then in 2021, we started doing a lot of investment, renting to foster the whole ecosystem. I think right now it's still quite early. It's probably only like 10 projects out here doing the social network. Yeah, I mean, that's our day job. But also we, before trying to put more of the journalists, doing any other like activism stuff. So that's my personal background.
Hi everyone, Ravi Agrawal this side, Director of Growth at Polygon. Look after some of the newer areas in Web3, especially Web3 mobile, AI, digital identity. In my past, I had co-founded a startup in the digital identity space, and prior to that, I had been business consultant for long.
Hi everyone, I'm Jess from Home Protocol. We are a gamified education and learning experiences provider in networks, aiming to onboard the next billions of people onto Web3. And we got wonderful funding and backers from Binance, Sequoia, and Evoca, to name a few. And last year, we were lucky enough to launch our Binance Launchpad. And as of now, we're enjoying over 3 million monthly active users globally, and we're expanding quite aggressively. And it's wonderful to be number one among viewers.
Awesome, awesome. So just probably start with you itself. I think one of the key things when you look at Web2 is defining user persona. So as a business, when you're building a Web2 project, you very clearly know which is the user persona you want to go after, and you design the product according to that. What has been your learning from that perspective, that how have you guys been able to do that in Web3, or is it possible to do it in Web3 out of the user personas and then build growth strategies around it?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I'm actually working in big tech company in Web2 for the past 10 plus years, and persona is one of those terms that's been used and evolved in many ways, and I believe that it's a fundamental tool to understand who users are, their behaviors, and the emotional drivers behind it. It is valid because human nature has not changed. What has changed is technology and what has made it possible. In Web3, I think there is a certain characteristic that's worth pointing out is how decentralized it is. It's driven by transparency, it's driven by community, and those tools and characteristics has allowed us new way to understand who these people are. For one thing, that's worth pointing out is how the importance of community when it comes to forming personas, because it's very hard to pinpoint the demographic side of things because they're in many different platforms. On Discord, Twitter, existing, the conversation take place on so many different levels. But what stays the same is once you launch a product, especially how people respond to it and what is the emotional and functional benefits that respond to these users is possible to be extracted from these decentralized platforms. So we actually have quite a lot of Web3's digital social DJs here on stage. I'm really curious to hear their perspective as well, but extracting what really clicks with the users and creating a persona driven by the community is what we found was a very powerful tool, and that's quite unique to the Web3 communities.
Please keep on.
Yeah, I think I would add a little color. I like what you mentioned in terms of the behavior doesn't change, right? Whether it is a Web2 users and now coming into Web3, I think there are new users that are getting added into Web3 which are more being in nature. But I think I would like to refer a case study, let's say from Reddit, right? How did they define their persona? Their users have been very specific in terms of they're there only for communication, right? Engaging in a social media format, right? How did they engage in terms of their user base, still giving them a flavor of what Web3 would do for their user base? And I think it's a great case study in the Web3 space as well in Web2 space in terms of how did they bring in 17 million users without telling a single word about NFT, wallets, or anything that we are very used to talk about in Web3, right? I think that kind of a personifications as well as changing the way of how you are still giving the kind of services that your user deserve without actually adding any steep learning curve for them. I think that kind of a personification is very important, and I believe this kind of case studies via Reddit, Starbucks are super.
Yeah, Prashant, please.
Yeah, I'll just add that when you look at users, I think users are essentially users. They are not Web 2 or Web 3, and essentially, I think they have their own intrinsic motivations in terms of using a product. If they are essentially coming for entertainment, or they're coming for e-commerce, or are they coming for, DeFi, fintech, and stuff. And so you need to understand who the user that you are kind of, targeting. And as a product, if you are essentially targeting, Web3 users, then building a user persona would be a little different from actually if you're building a social kind of product where you want to enable mass adoption of users to kind of onboard to Web3. And then I think the best practices remain the same between Web2 or Web3, which is do user research, understand what the intrinsic motivation of the user is to come to your product. What is the primary use case for which the user is coming? Is he coming for speculative gains, or is he actually coming to consume content? And if you're building for a certain, specific customer, then you have to make sure that the onboarding is seamless, the user experience is kind of built towards the motivation for which the user is coming to the platform. On the Web3 front, I think as Jess said, what's important is to understand the community aspects of it and understand, if you're building a community, what would be the dynamics in terms of how the community behaves, how the governance happens. That would be one user persona which is kind of unique to Web3, which was not there in Web2.
Nice.
I think like, I think honestly like Web2 platforms and apps are they're being like evolving to something we already use every day. The only barrier is the geopolitics. The nation state government, they actually stop something to be involved in a way that, like, say, hey, how can I send money directly to friends without KYC now? I mean, like, that's against most of the current laws, but that's actually what users really want. And how can I, just send my most precious NFT friend to a friend, and the friend can cultivate that together in a small community. Eventually this thing can earn money. How can I distribute this thing? In Web2, that's not really the product that's stopping. That's not really the platform stopping. It's like the platform the platform and the company have to trade off to be IPO, to be regulated, then eventually sacrifice the user interest. So honestly, I think the user and the platform will be the same eventually. It's looks like the same thing. It looks like Twitter, like protocol, looks like Twitter. Instagram like portable like Instagram. The user will be naturally, it's probably younger. But the underlying technology will be different. It's like, oh, you're not asking for the permission of the government. Say, hey, you cannot do that, you cannot do this. It's like, oh, we decide this is actually good for our community. We have our own system, we have our own government system. Then we eventually vote and select our own leader or leaders to involve in the platform. I think that's fundamentally different. The rest will be the same.
No, I think very interesting point. What I can kind of think through is, I think the traditional definitions of user personas, like age, demography, city, would change to what Jess and other folks are saying, that it will be a persona which is defined by the communities you are part of. So you could be a Bodin folder, you could be a platform user, and you could be trading on Uniswap, and people can design their protocols and strategies based on that. So, and the best part is all this data or analytics is available on chain, so you don't have to kind of rely on using cookies. Excellent. Wilson, jumping on to you. CyberConnect over, as you said, also over last couple of years has gone through multiple iterations. And you will, I'm sure, in this process would have discovered what we call as get to growth hacks. How do you kind of get users, how do you kind of construct the community, how do you do any strategies on that which would you like to share with us?
Sure. So, our experience with growth started from like 2017 when we first the decentralized content ecosystem and onboarded DLive.tv. Before we got acquired by Big20, we had more than 15 million monthly active users. We were on the number 9 and number 8 on the North America top entertainment category. We got pretty high exclusive onboarding. I think you must be very familiar with the streaming business. It's super competitive and it's always, and back then we didn't have the concept of Web3. We only wanted to be like as crypto native as possible. We wanted to give back the platform ownership and the benefits directly to the creators and users. And it was still like, with all those compelling concepts, how do you actually sell the story to the user, right? So I think as a platform creator, you have to first somehow identify the different group of target audiences. Like for example, in the case of streaming business, you think of one perspective from the streamers, the content creators, essentially, like what do they care the most about? Do you have like short-term and long-term benefits to offer to them? And then how do you explain the whole story and come up with a set of features that is so easy for them to use without too much education? I think a lot of us have to, change a little bit mindset here. Like, try not to educate your users at all. Try to just put the product in front of them, and then and somehow the product is so easy to use, and then automatically help you onboard that. But if you come with the mindset of like somehow educating users, like helping them what is Polygon, that would be like a very challenging task to do at all. With now we're doing like the same like CyberConnect, like why we come up with this like login and account system, why are we solving the problem of gas fee, why are we supporting social login and moving for social recoveries. I think we understand the painful things when you're actually building like streaming business or like a content platform. The first thing you need to do is to provide that kind of like seamless experience, and along the way you can talk about growth and sales. Yeah, but growth, like there could be a lot of techniques to it. I don't want to take too much time, but just touching a little bit surface, you need to get the foundations ready first, and then you can try out multiple different growth techniques.
Any of you want to kind of any growth hacks you want to share from your product launch?
I think a couple of things that we particularly believe is how can we spot those rough gems early days? How can we identify those kind of innovative projects which are not necessarily B2 and help them grow big? I think that is one of the areas that we keep constantly looking out for those innovators, those leaders who have an idea, and then how can we support them in order to grow big. I think that is where we believe that it's going to be very, very useful in the coming days instead of creating another B2.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think the growth hacks, again, depends on the kind of customers that you're looking to acquire from the platform. Old, growth hacks like SEO, SEM, getting, AS right on the Play Store, getting events to, promote the product that you have. These are some growth hacks that, are universal and can be used, across products.
Yeah, so, by the way, is anyone here trying to grow the product? No? Okay.
Yeah, it's signs of times in this. Prashant, this is for you, I think, especially looking at your background and where you have built large businesses with a lot of users. How do you think analytics plays a role in defining our growth strategy? And what are some of the best practices we can learn from them to implement from the perspective of user drop-offs?
See, once you have the customers onboarded on your platform, analytics becomes, the cornerstone in terms of understanding, the journey of the customer on your product, and making sure that, the journey is seamless, the intent with which the customer has come to your platform, is he able to kind of achieve that, what is the drop-off rate, and, just having a very robust analytics is important, I think, both from a Web3 and from a, of course, Web 2.5, that's the kind of product that we're building. becomes very important to be able to analyze that, how the person is using the product. Look at, the metrics that matter to you. If it's average order value, if it's, engagement, if it's retention, or is it number of, transactions, wallets, etc. Becomes very important that once you have a customer who's, come on the platform, you are essentially using analytics to drive more and more success of the platform through, harvesting the user who's already kind of come in.
Any particular tool set which you would recommend for this? I mean, traditionally we use Google Analytics as well, but
Traditionally, again, if you're building a social product, and of course, Google Analytics, branch, attribution tools, those are very important. If you are now, of course, with I think use analytics is great in terms of tracking usage on the Web3 front. Once you have a user who is a smart wallet or a regular wallet and kind of doing transactions to understand what is the kind of user that you are onboarding on the platform and how can you use, I would say, learnings across these various platforms to triangulate and make the experience better.
anyone else?
I think the users are still stuck in the Facebook Twitter. They started for another few years. It's like how the like when the Web2 come, even the one that you don't to those of users are stuck in the cell phone career. Even right now, a lot of people still estimate like that locking effect, kind of like continue for a decade until there's some like all classes. People can able to transmit data from cell phone number to whatever carrier they choose to. That requires a lot of like lobbyists and a lot of regulatory pressure. So I think that it seems like this industry is not like money. This industry is also not like smart people. We need to continuously push up like the regulator all over the world saying, hey, let's do something smartly, not just pump something there. That's not something you do. It took many years of effort, and eventually user will be unlocked from this certain platform they use right now, and then when you provide a really easy bridge to onboard it, that's really that's kind of massive user adoption. So I think like especially for Singapore, investor and founders in Singapore have a lot of personal wealth. So I think it's time to start to lobby and start to fight like against current trend, the regulatory pressure on this industry. Yeah, that's my personal opinion. The technology I think is like 70% here. That's better than we need in China.
I think we work with a lot of projects, and I think sometimes you get insights which are very common in Web2. For example, just alpha, the average user time on Growthcon, and you can check this on Google Analytics, is around 35 minutes. So if the user signs in through Growthcon, they spend around 35 minutes on that versus DMT, they spend around 5 minutes. So that gave us insight that as a fund, if you want to take position where you want to take position where people are spending more time in the scene. So I think, and I find it incredibly low adoption on just basic stuff like this, and a lot of protocols like how the user functionality looking like it's optimized for products. Yeah, hopefully in this market, hopefully we will build that so that in the market when we coming to you, like you said about Reddit and stuff, but if you look at particularly at Web3 itself, especially communities within NFT ecosystem or DeFi ecosystem, a lot of these communities were kind of driven by the Web3 aspect, which is kind of now stagnating. So from a Polygon perspective, how do you see or what are you bringing to your ecosystem to kind of nurture this community and still grow this community? The economic incentives are not that much there.
Sure. I think this is quite different from traditionally what we have seen, let's say in Web2, how the community have been managed compared to what Web3 community thrives for, right? So there's exactly a reverse curve. So if I see, let's say the Web2 where VC are the first entrants, they put in the money, it slowly get the adoption, and then gradually you see the users are coming in, and then they actually adopt the solution. Wherein in Web3, the curve is completely reversed, right? So you have those early believer in your project, who become your early strong defender of your project, they become part of your community. And this is where the curve starts, right? So they are the one who first of all contribute, they are the ones who are supporting you, defending you, and that's where they become the early part of the group. And that's where, the gradual progression of the project happens, and gradually you would see more other angels as well as, let's say, the VCs coming into the picture. I think from a perspective where we are seeing that the community is going to be very, very important aspect. It has to be built with trust, built with integrity, built with transparency, where all those things are being shared with community. And now we are seeing more and more projects are even going in terms of engaging community in critical decision making. I think that's a very, very, I would say, change in mindset in terms of how projects are engaging, especially in Web3 with the community, making them an integral part so that there is a stickiness also in the community. And that's where you see that the community stick for long. And that is one of the success metrics as well, in terms of how well you are engaging with the community, retaining the community, and growing the community over a period of time.
Just any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally echo what Mary just shared. Maybe just a bit to add on to that is how how fast the development speed is at a Web3 space, and what the users expecting from us is happening at a faster level than what Web2 is. The traditional product work-led marketing doesn't really apply 100%, even though the ethos is there, but we have to meet where the users' expectations are. And for us, since we're shipping out gamified education content in order to educate and seamlessly convert Web2 peers into Web3, it is very important for us to be recognizing the different learning patterns and different cultural backgrounds of the users we're meeting. One of our biggest community are in Southeast Asia. And also in Turkey and Brazil, and the users there, why they're curious, their learning patterns, and where is the conversation taking place is completely different. So for us to have one centralized product experience is not enough to satisfy all the needs. So like after the initial growth, as I just mentioned, we're thinking of how do we get deeper into this community and then unleash the second growth path by going extremely localized, building a local team there, and understanding how do we unlock the next wave.
Sylvia, on to you. In the conversation that you have been saying how we are still evolving as technology and how user adoption is kind of lagging. So from that perspective, have you seen challenges, or what are the challenges which kind of we face in user growth just because we are decentralized? Centralization has its own pros and cons, but decentralization, does it hamper user growth also?
Basically, decentralization means the user have to become citizen. They're not a user anymore, right? They become like network state or whatever, then it's a citizen. That comes with responsibility. If you don't vote, then the other people can elect to someone we like. That take like in the nation state history, in the real world history, take 200 years. Like since the French Revolution, it takes 200 years to force people to realize, oh, we have to care that. At least, right? Or even at least pretend to care that. The original Web 1, people do care that little bit, but then the power was like absorbed and handed to the platforms. Users start to not comply, not like emails anymore because it won't change. So I think that our generation don't really have this kind of like memory that if we fight back against the platform, they will change. There's only like very few examples, like maybe one. During the GameStop thing, they fought back and there's a change. Even though it's not really a success, but recently they closed API and things like it's a losing war. So I think it's good to have all these instincts or all these like events for people to start to realize, oh, we have to care, we have to do something, and if the platform really pisses us off, right? We may be able to build to a decentralized platform. We may be able to take legal actions to maybe take some really important things, really amazing things that are able to force them lose more money then they can never imagine, right? Say, hey, we're gonna just go to a decentralized grid and then our grid ship is not gonna here anymore. That's some kind of revolution happening in the real world history. Eventually leads to make the people realize they're existing. That's going to happen again in step space. And when that happens, I think as a protocol builder, we need to make sure that our protocol is decentralized enough, it's robust enough, it is strong enough to protect our users for their censorship resistance, for their anonymity, all these things. Otherwise, it's kind of terrible. It's hey, our access is not really decentralized, our identity is not really decentralized. I think the whole industry is moving pretty fast, but I think we also need to have our education effort, effort to tell them, this is important, we need to start this right now. Maybe after one decade, we will be able to train our digital signature. Yeah, that's not my opinion. It's not only about technology, it's more about technology starting to evolve into political power, and that's power that eventually change the balance platform and in the users.
Anyone wants to comment on this?
So the only thing I will say is that decentralization more than technology is ideology, and communities which are kind of built on ideology would be kind of more long-term sustainable rather than communities which have been built on economic incentives that you pointed earlier. And I think decentralization is a process, in my view. And if you have to onboard masses to this revolution, decentralization cannot be just the first step. It's a series of steps. And then, as he said, it's a 10-year process. So we need to make sure that as we kind of get these communities in place, get these users onboarded, and then maybe educate them slowly what decentralization is, because it's not easy to grasp as a concept. And I think that's the way to kind of build consensus and kind of build a community which is kind of long term.
I think I would add some more color from a tech perspective, what we inherit when we are talking about decentralization, right? So I think the first thing that comes to top of my mind is a composability, right? So what we are giving to the developers, to the user is a kind of a composable network, right? So anything who wanted to create an application, they don't necessarily need to start everything from scratch. I think that gives a faster go-to-market, really not invent the wheel, and that ultimately helps in terms of innovating faster. I think that's one of the key benefits that we see in terms of, let's say, anybody who wants to stand up tomorrow a DeFi application, they really don't have to do everything by themselves. They got on-ramp, off-ramp, exchanges, and things like that, which can actually help them in order to expedite their solution building. Another important thing that comes to my mind from a decentralization is the publicly available information on the data, right? Something which traditionally is siloed. Anything that needs to be invented either needs to be invented by that particular silo organization, or otherwise there needs to be a deeper partnership in order to access those siloed information, which gets opened up in a decentralization world for a lot of innovation. I think if you consider from that perspective, I think it certainly expedite of what can be done when you have all the user transaction information available to a certain degree in order to consume that, again, bring out more and more innovative solutions.
Done. Probably the last question, which is open for panel, and then we can just create our time. I think in Web2, you have this intuitive image of when you speak of a project or a service, that there is a very clear brand positioning. How important is that in Web3, and what are the learnings which we have, which we can implement? How do we position that? Okay, this is what we AMC represent, this is what other things, and then that drives the community engagement from a brand engagement perspective. Probably just.
Since I'm coming from Web2 marketing for a long time now, so I guess I need to talk about that. I still believe that is one of the most important things, and that's what I see is starting to take place in Web3. People are more focusing on their value proposition. What is the value you're creating to users? What is your unique selling points? Like some of the very Web2 label, as you speak, maybe they call it a different name, but again, the mechanism is the same. Early on in the Web3 world, when the infrastructure is not there yet and the players is like kind of coming all into place, there's not that clear of a differentiation yet, but I believe that now we're at the point where we have the framework to understand this world better now. And we have a fair amount of excellent players existing and incoming. And what is important in the next bull market run, I believe, is the company who can really clearly finding out what is the problem they're solving in the space, who we are and why we're the best in the field, and what we've done. People who can articulate that best, and then finding a narrative that connect with the users on an emotional level would be the next winners. And we are witnessing a lot of the existing winners on stage today. This is quite incredible to see the challenges that we're facing now, but the challenge space is going to keep evolving. So we'll be very interested to see which kind of projects are able to evolve with the trend and then keep articulating and sharpening that message, and also deliver Shabbat products and experiences that match with that identity. I think those are going to be the ones who would dominate the user's mindset and will win the heart and the user's world at the next level.
Also, you want to comment on that? Like, how do you think CyberConnect thinks about its brand and its positioning when you think about business?
CyberConnect is more like a brand for developers. Moving forward, when we launch blocking the CyberConnect, it becomes a consumer-facing brand. And yeah, I'm not a marketing specialist, so I don't take too much time designing the brand messaging or things. Yeah, more like the power guy. I think you somehow need to, like for example, like Link 3, when we're designing a new upgrade to Link 3, which is coming up in the next 2 months, I think the most important thing is how to make the product or the Link 3 page something that the user will be proud of. When oh, look at my page and you wanted to show it off to some of the friends, I think that's the best marketing you could do.
No, I think I completely agree with what Jess said in terms of having the right brand positioning and messaging more important for consumer-facing applications. So I think the same rules apply, because if you are going after a certain user segment persona, you have to basically make sure that your brand positioning, messaging appeals to that persona. If you're only going after the Web3 users, maybe that is a very different kind of communication. But as you kind of go broader, go towards mass adoption, I think the same rules apply as Web2.
Really, you want to share from your experience, how does Polygon as a brand shifted itself, and you have seen that transition very closely?
Yeah, I think from Polygon perspective, I think there is one more element that I would add into the brand side of it is narrative building. I think it's very integral part of building a brand. Like you have to win a narrative, you have to work on a narrative. For example, let's say, from Polygon perspective, we are the fastest, cheaper in terms of the transaction cost and making it most adoptable chain, right? I think that's the narrative that we wanted to take it to the users, that in terms of the adoption, if you talk about, I think Polygon by far, in terms of the order of magnitude, is the most adopted chain. I think that kind of a narrative building ultimately helps in terms of building your brand. So I think we believe that, especially in Web3, I don't know for what reason, whether it is the crypto Twitter or whatever it is, but I think narrative is the game. I think building up a narrative in terms of whatever is your focus area incrementally help in terms of reaching to the positioning that you want.
Awesome. We are just at closing time. Thank you so much everyone for coming here, sharing your thoughts. It was like wonderful to kind of have this high-level overview and also some practical tips on doing this. Hopefully for the audience who's over here and also are trying to grow the protocols, hopefully this session was useful, and that's it from our side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to all our panelists for sharing and also for moderating the session as well. So next we have Michael, who's the CEO of Exterior, and he's gonna challenge us today by sharing about whether or not AI is really going to change the world. So Michael, can I invite you on stage, please?
This is um, Good afternoon, everyone. Um, Looks like it's better. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael, and I'm the CEO of Exterior. Um, Let me try to introduce myself a little bit. Um, I've been a video gamer for about 46 years, and I have been in the industry for about 20 years. Back then there were no esports, but I actually is a finalist in a tournament in Pac-Man. So unfortunately, there were no esports. Otherwise, I could have run a very different career. I'm also a publisher for one of the most sustainable game ever in this history of video games, which is called Fantasy Westward Journey in China. Um, I built games, I built websites, and I've built many games as well. Some of the games I've built is like music games and story games before. Um, I think another thing that I would like to share with you guys is that I'm also a very geeky person. I love tech, of course, especially Web3 and also AIs. Um, so, so I think as a builder, I think one of the things that frustrates us all the time is that how can we catch the right time for the technology? That means that sometimes we build too early, but the technology is not ready, or sometimes we build too slow, that we have already passed the wave. So I think it's very important to catch the right time for the technology trend. So in this little presentation, I want to share with you what I see in AI, because obviously it's a very important trend, but are we catching it at the right time? Another thing that I want to introduce to you guys is that I actually graduated in a high school in Hong Kong that is very famous for lousy English. Um, so, but it's actually a famous school, but it's also very lousy. So, one of the things that when we start working in going into workplaces, uh, you know, uh, a lot of the times that maybe you guys have the same feeling as well. I'm teased by my other colleagues who are native English speakers that, oh, your writing is good, but it's not native enough. So what we do at that time is that I pay money to some of my native friends to edit my writings so that it looks like more native. But I think one of the more interesting things nowadays is that I don't have to pay my friends to do that, because I just throw in all my writings into ChatGPT or into any other Javas or so on, and then it can easily change it into something very native. So my friends lose their money, right? I mean, not be able to make money from me. Um, also told you guys that I've been doing games and I've been playing games for a very long time. So I always thought games is a very big business. But actually, until recently, that I know that game is really big. Because if you add movies and music industry combined, it's still not as big as the game industry. Right now, the game industry, we're talking about 200 billion plus money per year, and it's going to continue to grow more. And indeed, the single most profitable game ever, or profitable product, entertainment product in this world is actually a game. It's not a movie. It's not Avenger or Endgame or this kind of movies. It's actually GTA 5. And GTA 5 is looking at around 7.5 billion for all its revenue. Well, whereas for like Avenger Endgame, which is probably one of the most money-making movie ever, is talking about 2.7 billion. So the game is actually like 2.5 times more money than the biggest movie ever in this world. So on this, I want to talk about, on this presentation, I want to talk about games, AI, and Web3. So on AI, AI has been around for many years. Right? People start talking about it, artificial intelligence, like even in the night. Basically, when computers started, like in the 1950s and so on. But the first time that I have a very strong feeling about AI, obviously, is back then in 1997 when Deep Blue won the chess champion, world champion in chess. But that was in 1997. And then the next time that I feel very strongly about AI is when it's another chess, which is the Asian Chinese Go, was won by AlphaGo. They also won the world championship in 2016. But that's it. If you look at this is already like 19 years apart. And then obviously now, and then by that time, like 7 years ago, everyone says AI is going to conquer the world. But after 7 years, it seems like nothing happened. Right? Until last year, that ChatGPT and Midjourney came out. Right? And now again, everybody's saying AI is going to conquer the world. Again. Right? So we don't know. It's very difficult to catch the trend. Indeed, all of my friends, a lot of my VC friends, back in 2016, we spent a lot of time investing into a lot of AI companies in 2017, 2018. But actually, most of them didn't make money. Indeed, actually, a lot of them actually wasn't able to go through this 7 years to come to now. So when is the right time? It's a very difficult question. But I can say maybe it's the right time now, right? So let's see what is happening between 2016 and now. So there were a lot of buzz and noises in the media. 2016, AlphaGo won, everybody's talking about it. Last year, everybody talked about AI. Between these 7 years, actually, a lot of things have happened in AI. Right? And obviously, the biggest one is TikTok. We can also say that it's AI, right? Because the algorithm, the most important successful factor for TikTok is that the AI algorithm that is able to feed you with the most favorite short video, is also AI, right? Autonomous driving, obviously, is also AI. And these two areas actually has increased a lot in terms of, in the industry. And for games, of course, AI is also very important, even before ChatGPT. If you look at PUBG Mobile or the game of peace, actually it's called Game of Peace. One of the very important successful factor is that there are a lot of AI bots in it that actually helped a lot for like amateur players to be able to play it. They actually thought those are real players, but the bots help them, because they are amateur, they don't know how to fight. So the bots are made very, very easy for them to kill, and then they can climb, the ladder of being able to play much better. Of course, nowadays, in a lot of the game company, we use Midjourney, right? So that the concept art, efficiency of communicating the concept art with our artists and the producers has increased by like 80 to 90%. Used to be, we have to spend 5 days for one iteration. Okay, we tell the concept art we want to do this and this and this, and then 5 days later we came back with a concept art, and then we said, oh no, this is not what we want. And each iteration takes like days, but we're talking about now each iteration a few minutes. And of course, at the same time, in FunPlus, a lot of the publishing work is also done by AI right now. So in finding the right, videos, materials, and so on. And another thing that's more recently, of course, in AI, you guys might have heard of these names, right? Heard about AI. What is interesting that is, we actually understand that the engagement rate for the hardcore users is 10 times better than all other AI platforms. It's probably kind of like the anime fans, right? So they spend a lot of time talking to the character that they have designed or created in AI, in character about AI. They could spend as much as like 2 hours a day just talking to the virtual idol, not virtual, like the virtual characters. And then for us, we also invested into a company called AI Arena, where players is the trainer, that we can actually train a character to fight in the video games. And then in today, which is also our friend, they can use this text to 3D. So let's say I want a house that looks like the movie Up, and then they can just build a house in the 3D world, which looks like houses in the movies. Right? And of course, if you have been looking after the AI industry, there's a paper from Stanford where there's a simulation of 25 NPCs that can be run inside a village, and all the planning, all the actions, executions, and reflections even is all made with AI. And all the things that I've talked about has already happened. These are the things that might happen. We don't know. So one of the things that, this is like a very imaginative thing. So one of the things is, if there's an AI friend that we can play together in Minecraft, just imagine that you play Lego, right? You're building something, but you ask a friend, the virtual friend, right? Oh, I want this and this. Can we play together? Can we build together? And after we build it, let's say we want to build a hotel or a school, can you pretend to be headmasters or the receptionist or things like that, so that you can actually play together. So it's kind of a co-pilot for games, right? And then of course there is something that is like a Westworld. If you have seen the TV series before, so all the characters are controlled by AI, right? And then a lot of new stories can happen. And of course, the ultimatum is that it's attached to games, basically. So just just like using Midjourney or using ChatGPT. I want to build an XX game. I want to build a battle royale game, and it will build it for you. And I think that is also possible because right now you can actually build a game from AI. Right? I want to build a snake game. A very simple game is quite possible right now. And so that's so much about AI. And let me try to introduce to you guys a bit about Exterior, our company. So what we do is we are a platform that is for developers and also for gamers. For gamers, we have identity system, we have access interoperability, and we have governance and so on. And then for developers, we have different kinds of SDKs for developers to use to be plugged into our platform. And ultimately, there is a marketplace of NFTs that they can use. And we're also building some engines with AI. One of the things that we are building is an emotional, what we call an emotional engine, where the users or the AI characters will have three things. One is that it's more executive, so it's more proactive. And then another one is it's more emotional, right? Because right now, obviously, we can be using character.ai or Pi or so on, but we feel that it's still kind of robotic. And we are working with a large language model company and try to build an engine that is going to be more like your friend.
Alright, Michael, thank you so much. Can you please help us to wrap up your presentation in one or two lines, please? Thank you.
Okay. So, and we're also building some games. This is an AI game. This is an SLG game. This is a first-person shooter games. And lastly, this is RPG games. So that's us and Exterior, and hope we can work together sometime.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael. So for this next segment, we're gonna have a fireside chat. So we're just gonna gather more people outside to come into the room. So please just chill for about a few more minutes and we'll be back.